welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. I'm happy to be with you. My name's Hussein, and hope you're having a good day. And God bless you guys. Hello, Tiger. God bless you. And Depeche Mode. You know what? I really don't know that much by Depeche Mode. I was around when they were something. But I don't know very much of their music. They're kind of like, hey, yes, Pinky is back by popular demand. Yes, Pinky just said, hey, I'm tired of being left out. You know, I'm here, and I need people to know that I'm here. And he said, that's it. I'm sick of being treated like second class, citizen, like I'm not really part of what's going on. So yes, so Depeche Mode, Emmanuel, oh my goodness, Emmanuel. It's not like we haven't had to deal with this before, Emmanuel. And you see, bringing in that confusion and the other day Pinky was applying for a job. Okay, I'll just be honest with you, and largely because of stuff like what Emmanuel is hawking right here, because of that, Pinky had some issues, had problems applying for the job because that part where it says what's your gender, male, female, or choose not to say. Pinky actually was gonna put choose not to say, and it's largely because of Emmanuel Shahid. And I just, okay, all right. So I'm just putting it out there, not trying to, cast aspersions on our brother or anything, but just so you know, but okay. All right, you guys. Well, you know what? I got the wrong title on today's on today's live stream. I got the title, Jesus is the Son of God in Islam and Christianity. But actually, as I was preparing, I all of a sudden saw another topic that I thought that I've really wanted to do. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this other topic. So I am changing the topic from Jesus, the Son of God in Islam and Christianity, Father Zakaria's book. I'm changing it. I'm changing it to the preserved tablet, Father Zakaria's book. Okay, so this is Father Zakaria's book, and it's about the preserved tablet. And you know what? There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion among Muslims. Muslims are confused about the preserved tablet. They don't know what's in it. They don't know what's on it. They don't know. And we can trace the problem that Muslims have to things like the debate between Jay Smith and Shabir Ali, where Shabir Ali was talking about the Quran and how it's so miraculous because it has a number 19 thing, and then when Jay Smith responded and said, hey, well, what about on the preserved tablet? And, which one's on the preserved tablet because of all the different Qurans that there are. And there are so many different Qurans, Arabic Qurans. When he said that, Shabir Ali came up with this explanation that which I considered, for me, it was shocking and mind-boggling, just because when you're brought up Muslim, you are taught very, very early on about the preserved tablet. The preserved tablet is as much a part of Islam as the Quran itself, because supposedly, this is what we were taught, okay, is that there's this big board up in heaven, and it has the Quran written on it. Jibreel used to go and read it, and then he'd come down and bring it to Muhammad, okay? And so the Quran that Muslims have in their hands right now is identical to what's in that preserved tablet, okay? So the Quran that they have in their hand is identical to what's in the preserved tablet, and they call it sometimes the mother of the book. They call it the father of the book. You know, they got so many different names for it. But this is what we were taught. Okay, this is what we were taught, and but then when Shabir Ali was asked by Jay Smith about this situation, about the preserved tablet side of the situation, he came up with this explanation that just boing, like, come on, please. And he said essentially every like the question was kind of like, well, which one of these Qurans is on the preserved tablet? We've got these, Hatun Tash got 37 different Qurans, Arabic Qurans, and they're all different. They all have different stuff in it. A lot of it's the same, but a lot of it is different. A lot of it's different. And so they asked which one of these 37 Qurans is in the preserved tablet. And Shabir Ali said, well, every single one of them is on the preserved tablet. And every single Quran that anyone can come up with is already on the preserved tablet. And then what they've done is they've expanded the meaning of preserved tablet to not just be the perfect copy of the Quran or the perfect Quran up there, but rather that it is the board of destiny, and every single word that's ever spoken by any human being in the history of whatever, and everything that's ever done, and everything is on this preserved tablet. And then the meaning of the preserved tablet is kind of like, it's just like, what does this mean? And so, yes, the quantum mechanics answer. And it was, because I grew up with this, I grew up being taught that this preserved tablet, and by the time I heard this, I've been a Christian 40 years already. I have no faith whatsoever in any of the doctrines of Islam, never mind the preserved tablet. But I was still shocked. I was still shocked because it's so far from what Muslims are taught. And the funny thing is, when you go out on the street and you talk to Muslims, they still believe what I told you. They still believe what I told you, because they're still being taught in their nursery schools, in their kindergartens, in their elementary schools, in their middle schools, in their high schools, and in their universities that the Quran that they have is exactly what's on the preserved tablet, and in the mosques and on TV and on the internet. And so this is what's being taught them. But Shabir Ali kind of threw the wrench into the thing. And it's not just Shabir Ali, but if you just watch some of the videos about the preserved tablet on any of the Muslim sites, and you come away with oatmeal. Okay, your mind is like oatmeal. Why? Because there's no consistency. Nobody knows what the preserved tablet is. This person says this person said that, Shabir Ali says this, Yasser Qadi says that, so who knows? Okay, who knows what it is? But for Muslims, if you talk to them on the street, Muslim was faithful, just came from the Middle East, and ask them, what's a preserved tablet? In Arabic, it's al-lawh al-mahfuz. Al-lawh al-mahfuz. Lawh is the word. Lawh is something that our friend Ali Dawah uses quite efficiently. Okay, a lawh is like like a board. Okay, it's like a board, like a tablet. That's lawh. Mahfuz means preserved. Okay, and so the lawh al-mahfuz, the preserved tablet. And so Father Zakaria has a chapter about the preserved tablet in his book, and I've talked to you about this book before. And oops, what did I do? Sorry, my whole world just turned over. My camera just turned over. It's this book right here, okay, and it's Father Zakaria's book, and it's in Arabic, and so it's a very good. Has lots of awesome material in it, and so I've wanted to do this for a while, so I thought, well, let's go ahead and do it tonight. So this is about the preserved tablet, and I'm just going to it's in Arabic, but I'm going to translate it for you. Okay, so a lot of what you hear about the preserved tablet is not what they teach their kids. It's not what they taught me when I was a kid. And so, hello, Elisa G. God bless you. Hello, Jack Ray. Hello, Tiger. Hello, Emmanuel Shahid. Hello, Jack Ray. Hello. That was also StreamYard. Hello, StreamYard. So, God bless you guys. So, all right, let me just go ahead and say it. Now, this is going to be about the preserved tablet. Father Zakaria is going to talk about three aspects of preserved tablet. Okay, the first aspect is the story of the preserved tablet. Okay, then the description of the preserved tablet, and then thirdly, the preserved tablet and the Quran's Arabic script, the Quran's Arabic script. An easier way to say it, just Arabic writing. So, so where is the idea of the preserved tablet? First of all, we see it in Quran chapter. It's called Surat al-Burj, Buruj. Now, that's a very interesting name for a surah. Buruj literally means in Arabic, it literally means towers. Okay, the word buruj literally means towers. Like when you see the Twin Towers, or you see a whatever, a tower is a burj, which means that just means tower. So, buruj means towers, plural. But there's another thing that buruj also means in Arabic. It also means kind of the signs of the zodiac. The signs of the zodiac. And so I don't know if Muhammad here was kind of giving a wink to astrology. If there's some astrological meaning behind this al-Buruj, but there may be, it's a very, very popular, okay, 87, it's Surah 85, al-Buruj, okay. They say mansions of the stars. So it is about the zodiac, you guys. It is about the zodiac. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, boy, yay. So there you go, you guys. The way they translate that Buruj is mansions of the stars. You know what? Now I'm curious. Now I'm curious. Name of Surah 85 in Quran. I wonder if they got different names. The constellations. Okay, so they call it the constellations. Okay, but El Buruj, you guys, means zodiacal signs. There you go. Or, I mean, this is literally, I have to show it to you just to show you that I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. Surah 85 of the Quran is like your weekly or your daily zodiac. It says Surah 85, Buruj, or zodiacal signs. So it's about the zodiac, about astrology somehow. Interesting. Okay. So there's another demonic practice that we don't want to have in our lives, in our homes. So there you have it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and see what the surah is that we were talking about. It's Quran 85, Surah 85 in the Quran. Okay, Surah 85 in the Quran, and verse 21 and 22. Maybe I should go ahead and look at it here. You guys can look at it with me. Is it showing? Okay, let me just show it to you here. This isn't the usual site that I use, but in Arabic, Bel huwa Quran Majid fi Loh Mahfuz. And here is the Loh Mahfuz. It's like, nay, this is a glorious Quran in a tablet preserved. Okay, so this is where it comes from, the idea of this preserved tablet. And if we were to go ahead and look at some of the Quran commentaries and hadiths and stuff about this, there's a lot of information about it. Very, very important teaching in Islam. Very, very important teaching. And it even mingles with the idea of the mother of the book. The mother of the book. You know, Muslims believe in the mother of the book. They believe it's an eternal, uncreated tablet. That's how important this thing is. It's uncreated, meaning it's on the same level as Allah, because there's only two uncreated things: Allah and the tablet, the mother of the book. So, there's also another way to look at that, which is the uncreated things in Islam are Allah and his word. So it gets, Muhammad was an ear, and so you keep seeing little bits of truth dripping through there. So, all right, let's look at possible sources for the idea of the preserved tablet. Okay, the number one source, and this is Father Zakaria's book, you guys. It's not me, but it's Father Zakaria's book. This was known by Muhammad very well, which is the tablet of Moses. Moses's tablets. Okay, and this was known well to Muhammad in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 145. Let's look at A'raf. What chapter is that? I think it's chapter 6 of the Quran, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Okay. A'raf, I'm pretty sure A'raf is Surah 6, but I might be wrong about that. Challenge any Muslim to come up and correct me if you know. No. A'raf is 7, Surah 7 of the Quran. Okay, Surah Al-A'raf, verse 145. Let's just look at what it says. Now I'm kind of curious. Verse 145. It says, oh, okay. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Okay. This is Surah Al-A'raf, verse 145. Shoot, I want to make sure I get a good translation. I don't like the ones that they always have because it's Mustafa Khattab. I can't stand him. Okay. I don't like his translation. I don't want it. Yeah. Let's go instead to Yusuf Ali Pickthall and Ali Halali Khan. All right, that's good. All right. So here is what this verse says. It says, we wrote for him, for Moses, upon the tablets, the lesson to be drawn from all things, an explanation of all things, and then bade him, hold it fast and command your people. Okay. So we ordained laws for him in the tablets. So Muhammad was kind of doing a little bit of religious plagiarism. We wrote for him on the tablets the lessons drawn from all things. Okay, so this is talking about Moses. وَكَتَبْنَا لَهُ فِي الْأَلْوَاحِ. We wrote for him in the tablets. مِنْ كُلْ شَيْءٍ مَوْعَظَةً وَتَفْصِيلًا. We wrote for him everything, the sermon and the details of everything. فَأَخَذْهَا بِقُوَّةٍ. Take it with strength. So anyway, the idea here, I can't, the translations are very bad, but it is kind of explaining it, that the idea here is that the idea of the tablet came partly from the idea of Moses. And Muhammad knew about Moses, as evidenced by the fact that it's in the Quran. Okay. And so that's one of the sources of the idea of the preserved tablet, the stone tablet on which is written God's words. Where did he get it from? He watched, of course, now I have to do this. Okay. Muhammad obviously was was obvious a movie fan, and so he watched and so it's my obligation to show you exactly what I think Muhammad watched. It was the biggest movie. All the Muslims were watching it. Okay, so don't think that
the Lord of hosts will do battle for us. Behold his mighty hand. God opens the sea with the blast of his nostrils. Lead them through the midst of the waters. His will be done.
Oh, I don't know. He was called the ear, not the eye. But so very likely Muhammad watched the Ten Commandments, and so he got the idea for the preserved tablet from that. Okay, so anyway, let's look. Okay, and we read about it. It's in the Quran. Okay, about the preserved tablet, and it's in. Let me tell you where else you find about it. في المعجم الكبير called, okay, there's a book called The Great Encyclopedia, and it says إلى أعطيت سورة طه وسورة طور من اللوح ألواح موسى. Okay, so Muhammad even said that he got his parts of his surahs from the Quran from the board of Moses. From the board of Moses. So there's two surahs of the Quran that he actually says that he got them from the board of Moses. So you can see, Muhammad was the ear. He hear things and then come up with these crazy theories. And then it says in the tafsir of the Quran of Al-Razi, it says, عن جعفر بن محمد الألواح التي أنزلت على موسى كانت من صدر الجنة، وكان طول اللوح 12 ذراعا، وكانت ألواح موسى من برد. Okay, so Razi says that the boards, the preserved tablets of Moses came down from heaven, and they were like 12 meters long, and so and they were made of like ruby or something like that. Okay, and then uh, um, so anyway, so that's one of the alleged sources of the Muhammad's thought, Muhammad's idea that there is a preserved tablet. Okay, then there's another source. It's in a book called it's in a website called Moka Electronia. It's an internet site. It says there was what's called the Sumerian tablets. The Sumerian tablets. Now the not Samaritan, but the Sumerians, and those were the people who lived in Sumer. Now, if you know Sumer, that's in Iraq. And that's actually what people consider to be the first civilization is in Sumer. There was supposedly the first human civilization. And so the Sumerians had they had a board that they wrote stuff on. And so kind of, I guess, like the, what's that very famous board that has writing on it that they were able to translate the Egyptian and Greek, and they were able to translate the Egyptian hieroglyphics through it as the Rosetta Stone. That was that enabled the translation of Egyptian hieroglyphics because it has both the hieroglyphics and it had the Greek writing, and so they were able to tell, okay, the picture from the writing, from the hieroglyphics and the Greek writing, which we know the Greek writing, what the hieroglyphics meant. And so it became the source of it enabled the translation of Egyptian hieroglyphics. Okay, so anyway, but the Sumerians, before the Rosetta Stone, before those had a board. It was a very famous board called the Sumerian board. Okay, and it says بلاد الرافدين العراق وكانوا يعتنقون إن عند الآلهة ألواح طينية محفوظة في السماء. And so the Iraqis, long before a man named Muhammad or a thing called Islam, they had the belief that there was this clay board this clay tablet that was preserved by the goddesses, not Allah, but female goddesses, Aliha, and they preserved, and this was preserved in heaven. So the idea existed long before Muhammad, the idea of a preserved tablet. Okay, another source of the Muhammad's idea, because all of Muhammad's ideas, the devil doesn't come up with anything original. He copies what already exists. And so the another idea that contributed to Muhammad's idea of the preserved tablet was also the Yazidis. I don't know if you guys remember the Yazidis when ISIS took over Iraq. There for a while they took over a mountain of the Yazidis. The Yazidis, they are a funny religion, comparable to the Sabians, I think. Their religion is a very strange religion. Some say they worship Satan. They worship fire. They worship fire and they worship Satan. And it's a very strange religion. But they also had the idea of a preserved tablet long before Islam, of course. El-Qadima, it was in Mesopotamia, in Iraq. And you'd wonder, how would Muhammad ever have known about these things in Iraq and Syria and all this stuff? Well, Muhammad, remember he used to work for his wife. She was his boss also. So she was his boss, and before she was his wife, and then she became his wife, and she was still his boss after. She was still his boss after. That's why he didn't have any other wives while he was married to her. But he had plans, and as soon as she died, he undertook his plans, and so because he had her money too. You see. Okay, so anyway, the Yazidis, okay, and the Yazidis have suffered tremendously under ISIS. If you remember because the Yazidis are not considered people of the book. They're not considered people of the book. See, the Jews and Christians, they're not treated well by Muslims. Okay, Muslims do not treat Jews and Christians well unless they're living in their countries, like Israel and America. But if they are in their countries, for instance, in the Muslim country, and they're Jews and Christians, the Jews and Christians are second-class citizens, and they're called dhimmis. But because they're dhimmis, they got that title, people of the book, that gives them a smidgen of protection. Okay, that pagans, and they would consider the Yazidis pagans, do not get. So the Yazidis were not, and that's why when ISIS took over and established the new Islamic Islamic Republic. Sorry about that. Sorry, because it happened during Obama's time and it was funded by Obama. Excuse me. Dang, sorry about that, you guys. I'm getting old. It was just my birthday, and when you get old, you say stuff, and so it was not just funded by Obama. Also, they were also armed by Obama too. So we used to send them weapons from the sky. But anyway, you knew what they did to the Yazidis. They thank you, daughter. God bless you. So they used to the Yazidis were very badly treated by ISIS. They're considered pagans, and so lots and lots of their women were sold at the market as slaves, as sex slaves by ISIS, which is permitted under Islam. It's permitted in the Quran, chapter 424, 4:3. Islam allows for Malakat al-Yamin, possession of your right hand. And so the ones who suffered the most under ISIS was the Yazidis. Terribly, terribly treated. It was so bad. In fact, there was a very famous video of a Yazidi parliament member in Iraq, crying, begging the West, begging America to come and help the Yazidis because of what ISIS was doing to them. It was satanic beyond words. And so, anyway, that's who the Yazidis are. And so the Yazidis also had this idea of a preserved tablet. Okay, and so in their religion, and it's one of the oldest religions in the world, is the Yazidi religion. It's one of the oldest religions. Doesn't mean it's true, but it's one of the oldest. Okay, long before there was a Muhammad. Okay, وهي أقدم الديانات بلاد ميسوبوتاميا القديمة العراق ويرجع sorry about my eyes are a little bit bad ناري تاريخها إلى 1003 okay قبل الميلاد. Okay, so this religion existed like 1300 years before Christ. That's how long this religion has been around. And one of their teachings عن مذهب اليزيدية الإسلامية ويضيف الموقع كانت الديانة اليزيدية تؤمن بوجود لوح محفوظ عن إله اليزيدية. Okay, so the Yazidis believe that their God also had this big chalkboard up in, it's not a chalkboard, it's a very expensive board up in heaven. And so their God also had this big board up in heaven. Okay, and it was called the Loh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. So Muhammad's not the first one to come up with this idea. He stole some from Moses. He stole a little bit from the Yazidis. He stole a little bit from the Sumerians. He had interaction with these people, and so he got bits and pieces. He was called the ear. So he got all these ideas, and he just wrapped them all up into a pipe and smoked it, and came up with the Islamic Loh al-Mahfuz, which nobody knows what it is. It's kind of crazy. And when I say nobody knows what it is, the reason I say that, and I say it with some anger, is because we were taught what it is when we were kids by the sheikhs. And now we find out from Shabir Ali that that's not what it is. It's something else. Which means they lied to us. Somebody's lying, or somebody doesn't know, or nobody knows. It's just this thing up there. And is it the mother of the book? And how is it a mother? If there's a mother, is there a father? What's going on here? The mother of the book. Okay. So, all right. Now the second focus, that Father Zakaria has is a description of the preserved tablet. A description of the preserved tablet. So let's just look at that. Okay. And okay. توصيف اللوح المحفوظ. Okay. We find in several different sources about the preserved tablet. It's in a book called Fath al-Bari. That's a very famous book. It's kind of like a commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari. Fath al-Bari on Sahih al-Bukhari. Okay. In اللوح المحفوظ فوق العرش. Okay, so the preserved tablet is on top of Allah's throne. Yeah, but yeah, it's on top. Folk, it's over the throne. Who was anointed cherub over the throne? Who was the anointed cherub over the throne? Anyway. The preserved tablet is over the throne. Okay. وجاء في تفسير القرطبي عن ابن عباس قال اللوح من ياقوت حمراء وعلاء معقود بالعرش واسفلها في حجر ملك أي ملاك يقال له مارتريون وأضاف كتابة نور. Okay. وطور. Okay, so Al-Qurtubi tells us tells us that the preserved tablet is made of ruby. So it is a huge ruby. Okay, it's a huge ruby tablet. Okay, it's not like some cheap clay tablet like the Samaritans or a cheap stone tablet like Moses. No, this one is a ruby tablet. Okay, it's a big ruby tablet. Okay, Yakut is a red, meaning a ruby. Okay, and it's not. It starts from the top of Allah's throne, and Allah looks at it 365 times a day. According to Al-Qurtubi, Allah looks at it. ينظر الله عز وجل فيه كل يوم 360 مرة نظرة. So Allah, 365 times a day, he takes a look at this board. He likes the board. Okay, there's a relationship. You know, it's the mother of the book. I don't know. He looks at it 365 times a day. وجاء في كتاب العظمى للإصبهاني, another famous scholar, عن سعيد بن جبير قال إنهم يقولون اللوح من ياقوت. Okay, he also says that it's from a ruby. وإن أقول كأن من زمرة. Now Zamra is another jewel, and I don't know what the jewel is. I don't know exactly what the Zamrad. You know what? I could look that up for you though, because I don't want to leave you hanging. I know you guys really want to know what the preserved tablet is made of. Okay, so but you do know that it is part ruby. It's a red ruby. Red ruby. Okay. Oops. Did I do something here? Okay, no. Am I still on? Okay. All right. Let me just look here real quick. Google. I want to see what Zamarad is. Google Translate. You know, I translated a lot of this for Father Zakaria. And I don't remember translating this though. Zamrad. Emerald. So it's red and green. Yay. It's red and green. And if any of you guys remember, Zamrad means emerald. So it's partly red, partly green. Okay, because it'd be emerald, ruby, and emerald. And if you guys remember when Allah appeared to Muhammad as a young man, one time he came in a red suit, one time he came in a green suit, according to the hadith. So it's made of those two things, okay? Qurtubi, okay? Tafsir Marja, okay? So it was part ruby, part emerald. Okay. وَكَتَبَ الرَّحْمَنْ عَنْ, okay? And Allah wrote on it with his hand. بِيَدُ. Okay. وَسَمَعْ أَهْلَ السَّمَاء سَرِيرْ قَلَمْ. Okay, so he had a pen, and the pen was that he wrote on it with. وجاء في تفسير القرطبي. Also Qurtubi says, أنس بن مالك اللوح المحفوظ هو في جبهة إسرافيل. Okay, Qurtubi, very, very highly regarded, super, super highly regarded. He says that the preserved tablet is in the forehead of an angel named Israfil, not Israel, not Israel, but Israfil. So somehow he's got a very big forehead, and the preserved tablet is on his forehead. Part ruby, part emerald, written with a golden pen by Allah, and it's on the forehead. Okay, if any Muslim is angry with me, this is Qurtubi. Get mad at Qurtubi. I'll just read it again. قال أنس بن مالك إن اللوح المحفوظ هو في جبهة إسرافيل. It is on the forehead of Israfil. Okay, another part of the preserved tablet. وفي نفس المرجع, in the same source, called Muqatil, very famous hadith narrator. اللوح المحفوظ عن يمين العرش. Now, this guy is Muqatil. He says that the preserved tablet, is supposedly on the right side of Allah's throne. Now, one of the hadith says it's on top of the throne. One says it's on the right of the throne. Somebody says it's on some angel's forehead. Somebody says it's from emerald. Somebody says it's from rubies. All of these are very highly regarded sources. So, okay. And then Ad-Durr al-Mandur by Al-Suyuti. Okay, every time I talk about Al-Suyuti, I tell you guys this just because it's very significant that Al-Suyuti is a very, very highly regarded scholar of Islam. And the most famous book that we talk about that has to do with Al-Suyuti is Jalalain, because Jalalain means two Jalals. So there's two Jalals is Jalalain, two Jalals. One of those Jalal is Jalaluddin Suyuti, this guy. So very, very important Islamic scholar. It says, An ibn Abbas. Okay, now this is from Muhammad's cousin. Allah khalaq al-luh al-mahfuz limusirat miyat am. Okay, it says Allah created the preserved tablet with the destiny of 100 years. With masirat for the destiny of 100 years. Okay, so has it already expired, or is it, I don't know. في تفسير بن كثير, this is Ibn Kathir, you guys, عن ابن عباس, اللوح المحفوظ طوله وبين السماء والأرض وعرضه. Okay, okay. وعرضه ما بين المشرق والمغرب وهو من ذرة بيضاء. Okay, well, apparently the preserved tablet is the size of it. Talking about the size again, we talked already a little about size, but this guy's Ibn Kathir. He's a big, and he says that it is the size from heaven to earth. That's how big it is. And its width, its length is, its height is from heaven to earth. Its width is from the east to the west, and it's made from a white durra. Durra literally means corn. Now, it's not made by white corn. It means probably like a pearl or something. You know, even though pearl does have a word in Arabic, it's lu'lu'. But bayda, I mean, it's made on a white, kind of like a big whiteboard. It has a big whiteboard. And so what happened to the ruby and the emerald and the forehead of the angel? I don't know. Okay? So those are some aspects of the preserved tablet. Very important to know this. Okay? Then the third part, Father Zakaria talks about in Mahfuz, وَخَطَّ الْقُرْآنِ الْعَرَبِي. Okay, now it's talking about the fact that there is Arabic written on this preserved tablet. لعدة نقاط في هذا الموضوع. Father Zakaria has several comments about this particular aspect. Number one, the language of the Quran. Number two, the development of the Arabic script. انتقال الخط العربي إلى الجزيرة العربية. The arrival, انتقال, the movement of the Arabic script into the Arabic peninsula. نشاء الكتابة, the development of Arabic writing. Okay, so it's these different points that he's going to talk about. Number one, about the lughat al-Quran, the language of the Quran. In Surah An-Nahl, okay, I think that Surah of the bees. I'm not sure what Surah that is. I will look it up. Nahl means bees. Okay, so let's look what Surah An-Nahl is, what number it is. Okay, Nahl. Anfal, Yunus. Okay, Nahl is chapter 16 of the Quran. Okay, verse 103. وَهَذَا اللِّسَانُ عَرَبِي مُبِينٌ. Okay, it says this is a very clear Arabic language. Okay, then Surah Al-Buruj, the Zodiac chapter of the Quran, verses 21 and 22. Quran Mubin. Okay, glorious Quran from the preserved tablet. فمن الآيتين نستنتج إن القرآن المجيد الذي بلسان عربي هو ما في اللوح. Okay, thank you, Father Zakaria, for he here has clarified one very important point for us. He says, from these two verses, we can deduce that the Arabic language is what is written on the preserved tablet. The Arabic language. So on the preserved tablet, there is Arabic language. We can deduce that from these two verses. Okay. Can we deduce that there is a preserved tablet? Well, did Muhammad exist? If Muhammad didn't exist, did his preserved tablet exist? Okay. So I know there's bigger debates going on the internet now, but anyway. وحيث إن الله كتب اللوح المحفوظ, it says that Allah wrote the preserved tablet. فتكون لغة Allah, that means that Allah's language is Arabic. Allah understands Arabic. Okay, He doesn't want prayer in Polish. He doesn't want prayer in English. And as much as these pretty blondes on TikTok are telling us that in English, quoting Islamic phrases in English, no matter how much they want to believe that, they will be learning Arabic soon, and their blonde hair is going to be covered up real soon too. Okay, no matter what you say, no matter how you try to, acclimate Islam into Western culture, it doesn't acclimate. Somebody has to give in, and it's usually going to be the woman. And so يؤيد ذلك ما جاء في الدر المنظور للسيوطي عن ابن عباس كتب الله القرآن في اللوح المحفوظ بالعربي. So Al-Suyuti, again, one of the two Jalalain, said that the Quran is written by Allah. He wrote it in Arabic. Okay, so Allah likes Arabic. Okay, وبالتالي تكون العربية أيضا هي لغة أهل الجنة. And so we can also deduce that the language of heaven, the Jannah, with 72 women per Muslim man, and the one man for every Muslim woman, according to Asim al-Hakim, Sheikh Asim, that the language of this paradise of Muhammad is going to be Arabic. ويؤيد ذلك ما جاء في جامع الرسائل لابن تيمية. Ibn Taymiyyah, very famous, considered the father of modern terrorism. أحب العرب لثلاث لأني عربي القرآن عربي ولسان أهل الجنة عربي. Okay, it says the Arabs love three things because I am Arabic, the Quran is Arabic, and the language of the people of paradise is Arabic. Okay, وهذا يخلق شكل خطير, and this creates a great problem. وهو كيف أعطى الله لموسى التوراة مكتوبة باللغة. Father Zakaria says we have a big problem. The problem is, how did Allah give Moses a Hebrew Torah? And not only did he give him a Hebrew Torah, according to Adam in the Hadith, Allah wrote the Torah himself. He wrote it with his hand, meaning Allah writes Hebrew. He wrote Hebrew before he wrote Arabic, supposedly. Well, he wrote the Torah, in Hebrew. It says he wrote it with his hands. And he also supposedly wrote the Zabur, because the Zabur in the Quran, Allah says he wrote the Zabur. Well, the Zabur was also Hebrew. And so Allah was writing Hebrew before he wrote Arabic. But now, ding, Allah changed his mind. Okay, كما جاء في كتابه تحفة لحوذي. Okay. فهل كانت لغة الله العبرية أم العربية? Father Zakaria is asking. So is Allah's language Hebrew or Arabic? وإن كان الله قد أوحى لليهود بالعبرية فكيف سيتفاهمون مع أهل الجنة? Father Zakaria is asking. Okay, this is in his book. Okay, this is his book, so I'm allowed to do this. So he says the problem is, so Allah sent down the Torah in Hebrew to the Jews. The problem is, if these Jews make it to heaven, how are they going to be able to dialogue with the people of heaven since they only speak Arabic? So, you know, I don't know, people can start taking Arabic lessons in preparation. وهذا ينطبق أيضا على المسلمين من أقصار التي لا تعرف العربية كإيران والهند وأندونيسيا وغيرها. And I think you guys understood this next question that Father Zakaria is asking, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but he's saying, what about 90% of the Muslims who don't speak a word of Arabic except what, what 3 words they learn, in the mosque? What's going to happen to them? How are they going to be able to communicate in heaven when it's Arabic, according to the top Islamic scholars? How are they going to be able to speak with people in heaven? Or are they just going to have to try to communicate, learn sign language, or, this is a big deal. It's a big deal. If they want to speak Arabic in heaven, and all these 90% of the Arabs and the Muslims in the world don't speak Arabic. Arabs only make up 300 million people, and there's supposedly 1.2 billion Muslims. That means there's 900 million Muslims who don't speak Arabic. There's the Indonesians, there's the Turks, there's the Persians, there's the Indians, there's who are the ones in China, the Uyghurs. There's so many different groups of Muslims, and of course the Lily Jays and those who don't know Arabic, and they know English. I got a funny video of this woman who married a Muslim man and became a Muslim and started dressing like a Muslim woman. And she denied Christ. Of course, to become a Muslim, you have to deny Christ to be a Muslim. If there's any Muslim women listening to this and you say, oh, we love Jesus. No, you don't. You love Isa. You have to deny the Son of God to be a Muslim. And that's what a lot of women have done. Remember, Yasser Qadhi said, love jihad is the most effective method of evangelism in the West. Dawah. Okay. In Asl. Okay. And the last thing, you know what? We actually have reached our hour. And so I think I'm going to end it right there. No, see, Tiger, you're making what's it? Like a straw man argument there, or maybe we'll call it a straw chicken argument. Okay, just because, first of all, chickens tend to be bilingual, and actually, if you were watching, what was it today? Awesome and Hakeem. I think it was Awesome and Hakeem or one of those Muslim scholars, a lady asked him, it says, is it permitted for a Muslim to eat fried chicken from an American restaurant? You guys watch KFC in America. KFC in Canada has already gone this. They've already stumbled, which is that they're making halal chicken, halal KFC. And now I haven't seen that here in America, but I will tell you, I love KFC. Even when I was Muslim, I loved KFC. And I don't know if they use bacon, grease, or something to make that flavor the way they do. I don't know. But I will say that if KFC goes halal, I will no longer eat there. Because as a Christian, what Paul said is Christians can eat anything because God created everything. But if you know that it's been offered to an idol, for the conscience of your friend who is the idolater, do not eat it. Not because there's any power in those demons. Our God is much greater. I wouldn't eat there. Because they call it halal. Because KFC calls themselves halal, that means that the chickens were taken, they were killed with the name of Allah over them, and in the direction of Mecca. Okay? In order for it to be halal, the chicken has to be slaughtered with the name of Allah spoken over it in the direction of Mecca. I could care less, and it wouldn't matter if I could eat it if they didn't tell me that it's halal. But because KFC says it's halal, as a Christian, no Christian should eat KFC, halal KFC. No Christian should eat halal food, because once it says it's halal, it means it's been offered to Allah. Not our God, but to Allah in the direction of Mecca with the name of Allah proclaimed over it. Christians should not eat halal foods. If you're told this has been offered to Allah and Muhammad, then don't eat it. I know that's a real big problem for Christians in the Middle East, where everything is slaughtered in the direction of Mecca. And so I know it's a really hard thing, but I tell you what, I'm not going to eat KFC from a halal KFC. If it says halal on it, I won't eat there. Okay? Because it's been offered to Allah in the direction of Mecca. So for the sake of KFC's employees who know that this thing is halal, I won't eat there. So, yeah. So anyway, I don't know what brought that up, but, we're talking about the chicken. Does the chicken speak Arabic? Okay. Yes. All right, you guys. Well, Pinky was very happy to be here today, in spite of the insults, okay? In spite of the abuse from Emmanuel Shahid. We've come to expect that from Emmanuel, and I'm not sure, why he continues to do this, but he does. And so, anyway, but Pinky was still happy to be here today. So, all right, you guys. Well, thank you for hanging out. If there's any Muslims here, I don't know if there's any Muslims here. I don't see any. But if there is a Muslim here who would like to come on, let me just go ahead and put the link here. And if you're a Muslim, you'd like to come on, I welcome you. If you'd like to come tell us something I said wrong about the preserved tablet, or if you understand something about the preserved tablet that I said wrong, you're welcome to come on. HFC. HFC. Isn't that a finance company, HFC or something? Halal fried chicken. Yeah, and just in case there's KFC out there, Christians, you really need to, Popeye's chicken is better. I don't think Popeye is going to go halal. You know, I don't think Popeye will go halal. And I don't think, what was his girlfriend's name? What's Popeye's girlfriend's name? The real skinny one? Yeah. 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 Popeye's is better, I think. Yeah. Olive. Yeah. Olive. Yeah. Well, yeah. Olive. Even though her name is very Middle Eastern, Olive. It is Olive. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, it doesn't look like we have any Muslims here today. So KFC wants to go that way. We Christians can go somewhere else. We can go to other restaurants. There's General's Chicken. There's uh, all right, you guys. And remember what Paul says. It's not for your sake. I care less if it's been offered to whatever. But it's for the sake of the salespeople who work at KFC and for the management of KFC and the compromised company KFC. So for their sake, we don't eat their chicken. For their sake, we for their sake, we boycott them. For their sake, we drive their stocks down. So I'm just telling you, this is my opinion about when KFC decides to go halal. They lose me as a customer because the Bible says, if you know what's been offered to an idol, for the sake of the person who's serving you, don't eat it for their conscience's sake, not for your own conscience's sake. Okay. Okay. I can't remember that song, so let me do one of my old songs. Let me just start with the Arabic song. I'll start with the Arabic song. Oh, there's no sound? Can you not? Oh, I've been one day. You know what? You're gonna make me share this, okay? You're gonna get me in trouble for this. But let me see if I can find this. Someone says one day I'm gonna break out Sweet Home Alabama. But I want to show you this. See, I don't know if I have it here. Okay. All right. I'll show this to you guys. Oh, what happened? happened? Shoot. Oh, you do hear it? Did you hear it? Can't hear you, but not the guitar. Okay, let me see if I will. Let me try it again. It's only a few. It's only a minute long, you guys, but let me try it again. I can't hear the video. It's the solo from Freebird. Okay, so that was the solo from Freebird. There is another solo I'd like to play for you guys, though. Let me see if I could play this one. I don't know if it's going to work any better, but let me see if it'll work. Okay, I don't know if it's going to work. Okay,
Right. So
there's a friend of mine. His name is Norman. It's not working. We're gonna have to get a sound. I'll have to do it live for you. Okay, we'll have to do it live for you sometime. Okay, so all right, let me go ahead and do an Arabic song for you here first. And سلام واثق لينا مش زي العالم فينا وما دام روحك عايش فينا شعبك دايما بسلام سلام سلام الشعب في كل مكان سلام سلام الشعب في كل مكان شكرا في موكبي نصرتي كل حين كف النار الشيء ونحن نغني كثيرين إذ تسعى عنه السفراء كأن الله لكي يكون كفاية شكرا موكبي صرت كل حين ما فوق لا شيء نحن كثير For those of you who heard that, I had a Stairway to Heaven. So, by the way, I made Stairway to Heaven a Christian version of Stairway to Heaven. It says he bought us a Stairway to Heaven. Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about this. Sound has always been a problem. I'll try to fix it. So, all right, you guys. Well, thank you for hanging out. And if you haven't done it, please do it now. Oh, let's see. I didn't do a song. Let me see if there's an English song I could do. It's still a little bit early, so I could do a. Okay. Snowflake falling, snowflake falling on the tree with the wind blowing. No one sees. You can detect its motion that goes through the trees. It's time for the devil's prisoners to be released. Seasons come, seasons go. Sins and scarlet, it is white as snow. Sins and scarlet, it is white as snow. Every thought, every thought, every pass through my head, counting those redemption bar when you rose up from the dead. Every deed, evil deed in my hand, every day, nails through your holy hands, lifting up my hands for it. Every place that I've been, every dollar I spent, nails through your holy deed, my way, wisdom, everything I do. When I knew what you wanted, are you back for me to leave my hearty heart so vaunted? In the dust of death you lay. For the evil words I say, to the roof of your mouth your tongue did cleave. Thirst and longing for the ones that would believe. And you said, I thirst against the wood your body rides underneath the blackest night. I go before you died. All creation testify. I'm gonna be out of mind. Did you even realize no, you didn't want to give a spirit trust and suicide? But the water how it flows, from the river to the foot of those spit upon your thing. Made an ocean, made a brick. Blood of Jesus flow upon me. I'm gonna be the proud. I'm so lost. I'm so desperate to be cleansed beneath the flow. No good thing inside me dwells. I deserve 1,000 hells. Oh, the blood of Jesus, it washes white as snow. Snow. Right. God bless you guys. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. We love you, but much more importantly, he loves you. And here's a little word of encouragement from our friend Asim al-Hakim.
The question about the Hur al-Ain. He said the men in Jannah, we know, will be receiving Hur al-Ain. But what about the women? What do they receive?
Well, we are told that they will only receive their husband and one single person. Because by default, women can only love one man. Subhanallah, by nature, Allah created them unable to love more than one man. But Allah created men to have the capability of loving more than one woman. And we are told, and we believe Allah, and all the sisters should have their trust in Allah, that they will be satisfied in paradise. They should not doubt Allah's generosity and reward to them. And
if you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth. This happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
Now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.